Hull is burning. White rioters are tearing through the city, smashing property, attacking immigrant businesses, and pulling people from their cars just because of their skin colour. They even came after me, the whitest guy around, just for filming them.
Get off me now, get off me!
Alright, it's off. It's off
Take
you.
that camera!
Alright. No, I'm running from them. It all started with protests across the UK over the supposed murder of 3 girls by a Muslim migrant. But here's the twist, that was all a lie. This fake news was spread by a shady Russian site and right-wing influencers. The real killer? A 17-year-old British boy named Axel Rudakubana. Even after the truth came out, the protests didn't stop, and I wanted to understand why. The media claimed that these protests and riots were fueled by the far right. I decided to see for myself if this was true, and whether the protesters had any real reasons for their anger. I first saw the whole protest advertised on Twitter by Alan Leggett, also known as ActivePatriot. He's a far-right influencer known for his migrant hunting activities.
There's about 800 illegal immigrants. I was going to call them rats, but I can't say rats because I'll probably get done for it, yeah?
These people want to come to England, probably come and rape our kids. Are you going to allow that?
7 days.
I ain't. These fuckers ain't going nowhere.
He dresses in militant clothes and he has a hate crime conviction for anti-Semitic online abuse against a Jewish woman. His Twitter feed highlights exclusively migrant and Muslim crimes, making it seem like they're responsible for the majority of crime. Leggett has popularised protesting at hotels housing immigrants, and with 140,000 followers on Twitter, he's a very influential figure in the region. The protest itself was organised by the whole Patriotic Protestors, led by John Francis Gilling. Gilling used to lead another far-right group called United Hull, who were accused by the Byline Times of exploiting vulnerable women that were victims of childhood sexual abuse in order to push their anti-migrant and anti-Muslim messages. United Hull leaders are known to have attended a rally by neo-Nazi group Patriot Alternative, a political party so right-wing they had a spokesperson called Alec Yerbury who actually looked like Adolf Hitler. Yerbury now leads his own neo-Nazi splinter group that's active in the Hull area called the National Rebirth Party. I didn't expect many people to be at the protest. Then when I arrived at Victoria Square, it was packed. Protesters and anti-fascist protesters were all yelling at each other, separated by police. The anti-fascists were mostly from Hope Not Hate. They were a small, mostly female group and seemed good-natured. The main protest was much bigger, and it seemed to be split loosely into 2 groups. The first group was hyper-aggressive and was throwing bottles, eggs, cans at the anti-fascist protesters. Many were drunk and were spoiling for a fight. The other half of the protesters were gathered around an informal stage in the centre of the square, and that's where the leaders were giving speeches. This group was much less aggressive, but they were still wary of talking to me. Many didn't want to go on camera because they were afraid I would make them look racist, or they would dismiss me as fake news. When I asked why people were there, most pointed to the murdered girls, and they looked at me like, how can you not know that? I went to get a quick coffee in the square, and that's when the riot broke out. I could see out the window, suddenly there was this rush of people going past the police lines and onto the main high street. I couldn't find footage of the initial outbreak of violence, but people I spoke with on both sides said that the Hope Not Hate protesters and the police were attacked. What happened?
Nearly beating each other up. There was one of them fighting with fucking brawling.
Well,
whacking each other.
This side against the
people that I don't know. The other people that wanted me, the people that didn't want me was whacking them. Lovely day for it. Crazy, man.
It was my first time being in a riot. I went to the new police line, and I have to say I think the police did an incredible job considering they were outnumbered. Many of the protesters seemed excited and thrilled at the violence, even if they were not taking part themselves. Whereas other people seemed wounded by it because they felt they won't be listened to now, and that all people will remember is the riots.
It ruins it for what we're standing for.
Yeah, it ruins the message, doesn't it?
It does, because what gets remembered from today? Not what we're stood for, not the speeches, not the balloons we let off for the little girls, which gives me goosebumps thinking about it. The message is gone.
After speaking to a few protesters, the riot seemed to peter out and everybody had seemingly gone home. Then I saw on social media that fires had broken out, police dogs were set on people, and the rioters had surrounded a hotel that houses immigrants. I thought the protests were over and the police dispersed everybody before much trouble happened. And I just found out that apparently the riots kicked off and just moved. And I know it's crazy, I really thought this was over. I arrived at the hotel to see it surrounded by an angry mob, and there was a heavy police presence to protect it. There were migrants trapped inside, some of them with families.
Send the bastards back and close the fucking borders!
Well, what's happening?
Do you not know them 3 girls that have just been murdered?
Yeah.
This is all for them. All them refugees are all housed in there. They're getting everything.
We're aware there's an issue with social media at the minute. It's not nice what happened to them girls.
No.
And I think what's happened clearly is that some misinformation has been spread online regarding the identity of the male, the suspect, which obviously don't help in stuff like this. So it's an awful. I think any time you involve children that are dying, losing their lives, there's always going to be an emotive feeling. You know, these people are potentially targeting the wrong people there. There's a way of expressing your frustration. It's normally through the voting system, isn't it? Not by rioting.
As I filmed, the mob turned on me.
Get off me now, get off me!
All right, stop. All right. Someone poured beer over my head, then someone wearing a mask did a flying kick into my back. There were multiple attacks. I think someone cut my face with a razor, and then I saw the mob trying to surround me, and I darted for the police line to get to safety. No, I'm running from them. From there, the city descended into chaos. Rioters set more fires. They attacked Muslim businesses and a mosque. They were dragging non-white people out of their cars. The violence continued into the night, and businesses across Hull city centre were forced to close or barricade and get their employees to safety. After the riots, the people of Hull were shocked and embarrassed. But the uncomfortable truth is, there is a lot of sympathy for the rioters' anti-immigration and anti-Muslim message, particularly in deprived areas. I mean, just look how many people showed up to the protest. Of course, there were genuine far-right racists there, but most protesters wouldn't see themselves as far-right or racist.
I want my granddaughter, and I've got a 10-year-old today, my son's 10-year-old, and I've got an 11-year-old in 8 days' time. I want them to go up and say.
I think the protesters mainly want justice for the girls, and I think it's, again, all gone out of proportion.
Some genuinely just have concerns about immigration and feel that we shouldn't be helping refugees when there's British people struggling.
You're actually here because you're struggling, because your country's at war. Why shouldn't we help?
Yeah.
Why should we not help if we can?
Yeah.
Well, then why should we also help when we're not helping ourselves?
Yeah, no, I understand.
That's the problem. Why is the people on the streets? Why is the people suffering? Why is the families with no food?
Do you think there's like a part of the British population that feels a bit like left behind or misstaffed, something like that?
Oh yeah, of course there will be. But aren't we all left behind at the moment?
And it's true that many people have been taken in by racist disinformation that presents a warped view of Islam and immigration.
And they'll tell their friends, and they'll all come over on more boats. But after so long, they're going to turn around and say, do you know what? I like all these Phoebes, but because it's our culture, I still want to rape a little girl. I still want to go and stab a little girl. I still want to go and attack women.
Mohammed, who they believed in, was married to a 9-year-old child, and they believe it's okay once they start puberty, they can have sex with a child.
But we do need to start listening to these people and their concerns, even when it's based on lies. And we have to start communicating the facts about immigration and about the refugee crisis, so the far right can't use those topics to whip up hate for their own cause. On a personal note, I was shocked to see how many people showed up to support the far right protests. We have to remember that it's still just a tiny minority of people, and they don't represent Hull at all. Hull is a city that's always stood up for the working person, no matter what their background. It's a city of proud fighters. It's the place that produced William Wilberforce. In the 1930s, when Oswald Mosley's fascists came for a rally in Hull, 10,000 people showed up and they ran them out of town. I've only spent 9 months in Hull so far, but it's a great place and I like being here. So let's do what Hull does best and tell the far-right racists like John Francis Gilling and Alec Yerbury and Alan Leggett to just f*** off. Thanks for watching, and please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so this video gets seen by as many people as possible.